quick fire round right away.
Sure.
In the interest of time. But before we get into the family office thing and all, I just want to quickly check with you. What's your prediction who's going to win the World Cup this time?
I'm sure it's always going to be India.
India, right?
I mean, we at least fancy and
of course. So,
and India is a strong team today, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a team playing with so much of maturity and poise, and the way they're playing like champions.
Exactly.
Great. So,
I mean, India is evolving. Indians have evolved. Success is for Indians, I believe, always.
Absolutely. And same is very much visible in the way Indian business groups are handling themselves in India and outside. And Gemini Group is one such example. So this topic is more to do with the family office journey this illustrious family has gone through. And before we get into that, family offices are, of course, now. I mean, this is a topic which is very well known. When AIWM started the education programs on family offices way back in 2013, we did not even have 10 families who claimed to have a single family office. Last year, when we did our first benchmarking survey for single family offices, we found out there were at least 110 families with some sort of family office structure in place. Not everyone was a comprehensive single family office. Some had purely an investment office, like for example a Ronnie Screwwala, or some had a purely an administrative office like a Godrej family and all. But the huge rise in the number of families who are now setting up their family offices is a huge, I mean, it's a very good news. When you talk about family offices, there are families who set up a single family office to manage their own issues, or there are families who set up a single family office and looking at the success of it, gone ahead and created it into a multi-family office kind of a structure to help other families with their learnings and with the methods they've adopted. So if I'm getting it right, I think Gemini Group is one such example. And I thought, so who better than you to talk about the journey. So let me start off with the genesis of this entire group. I think it's a first generation family business. You started in 1986. So if you could take us through the family business journey before the setting up a family office bit, and we take it up from there.
Yes. Our core business activity started off in 1986, but just to give all of you a background, we have been born and bred in business in the blood, right from from my schooling years of 4 and 5, when my dad started off with his small trading business in industrial electrical items. So I have been through in and out of the same activity right from the beginning of the business. Of course, sorry, I am not a speaker at all, because yes, we are for me or for our business, we are businessmen. Our circuit has been limited to the business in which we deal in. Of course, it's the first time I'm addressing a whole audience in the market, right? So, just to tell, as born and brought up in business, we have gone through right from the mom and pop show. We have evolved from the mom and pop show into corporate culture and professionalism, with starting off from one business to about 3 or 4 lines of business. In fact, we started off in '86 as a specialized service provider in oil and gas industry. The activities are akin to quality control and quality assurance, where we test the integrity of the well mines, where we test for preventive corrosion during the construction stage of refineries, cross-country pipelines which carry gases and fuels. So it's a very sensitive specialized activity. And that activity from '86, we were pan-India. We grew when we were quite successful in India as mom and pop. Or in fact, it's actually brothers. We two brothers. We were doing quite well from India, and then we expanded our frontiers to the Middle East countries of Oman, Qatar, and gradually, of course, all the Middle East countries we were doing quite successful. So we established quite as a successful international brand right from the mom and pop show. So, of course, it was incidental that in 2013 we divested from our oil and gas business, where those days the talk of merger and acquisitions were happening, and from that merger and acquisition we learnt a lot, right from Mr. Kumar suggested certain topics about it. So we divested in 2013. It was incidental. We started off with second innings with our laurels, nothing to rest with our laurels. We saw what Dubai had to offer. We are based in Middle East, so of course myself based out of Dubai. So we saw what Dubai was best to offer us in terms of real estate, hospitality and leisure. So we started off into real estate development. Of course, before that we were ourselves into real estate investments or financial investment, or where we had done development for our own reason. But yes, as a real estate developer we started. And after 4 years of real estate development, we saw there is a value addition need which we want to cater to the individuals in terms of HNIs, ultra HNIs, where we are taking care of both the real estate class as well as the financial investment class. So we saw a synergy, we saw that could build value, and we started off with our wealth management activity as well in India. We are pan-India now, in about 6 cities. Of course, the same wealth management activity will take to Dubai and other Far East countries as well. That is the vision. So, I mean, I will say that it is not wealth management for us, neither is it family office for us. We want to handhold all the individuals, HNIs or UHNIs, in terms of real estate class, financial investment class, right from taxation, succession planning, corporate trust. We have a great team with us in our own family, for that matter. Me, a chartered accountant, there are other 3 chartered accountants in the family. There are guys who who have worked in Boston in our family members, or the other institutes where they know about brand building or business consultancy. So we have a great team within ourselves to take care of all these items. This is the whole idea with which we started off our wealth management company. Yes, that's it. I mean, I don't know if I talked a lot.
Yeah, so curious to know, 2 brothers running it, starting it, growing it and running it after almost 3 decades so successfully. While we have so many horror stories that we keep listening about brothers, we spoke about Ambani family in the morning, how one brother literally completely ruined the wealth. We just ran Baxi saga, was like everyone was aware of. I mean, how not only destroying wealth but actually coming to blows with each other, and misappropriation of funds and other things. We have so many cases like that. So I'm quite curious to know, I mean, last 3 decades, has it been good going all throughout, or has there been major conflicts?
There have been various stumbling blocks for sure. Failure is a stepping stone to success. Somebody uses up, the product has to speak for itself. Absolutely, it's all a mix of so many different things. Where I believe for a business to be successful is these 2 things. Definitely quality services or quality products, and then the customer's trust and relations. In fact, I will put it as 3 T's, where trust is the main, trust and relations is a very contribution factor to success of a business, and then it comes to the team, and then the team and trust. Yeah.
So did this trust thing happen on its own, or was it inherent, or did you kind of get?
No, we have built that trust for sure.
No, of course, but did you go to reach out to like consultants or advisors who help you actually put that trust, or strengthen that trust through agreements or constitutions and all, or is purely personal and inherent?
Not really. In fact, surprising to some people, maybe the last 35-40 years, whatever business we have been, is we have done and handled everything ourselves, right from legal to commercial, and we have done it quite well. I mean, we have been able to do it well. It doesn't mean that it could hold good for everybody. Yeah,
okay, so are there now more generations, for the future generations also involved in this business? Or is just the 2 of you running still?
The 2 of us running, of course, children have grown big, and it's left absolutely to the children, for them to really get the nuances of business, or it's absolutely their life. Yes, I believe we have created a strong position for them to carry on, and I'm sure they will carry on the legacy of business. But absolutely today, I mean, I would say that I am quite strong enough, or we two brothers are strong enough that we have at least another 20 years to carry on the business with our children on board as well or not.
No, I'm not talking the business. I'm saying, have you ensured that now there are proper structures or agreements in place to ensure the next generation, the transition happens smoothly and the
Yeah,
next
for
generation?
sure, for sure.
So is family office a step towards that?
We have a structured agreement, we have a structured understanding first between the entire family members, and yes, it carries on.
All right. So
We have a trust in place. I mean, we follow the agreements as well as and the understanding.
okay. So you spoke about your experience of handling wealth and diversifying it, and you thought then maybe we can take it forward in the form of a multi-family office for other families.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That is, as I said, so we wanted to build value, we wanted to create wealth, to expand wealth for the HNIs and UHNIs, which I believe is, we got wonderful solutions. We can create magic. We are sure that value can be built within the individuals to whatever extent.
sure, but in your experience, I mean, other than the wealth part, which are the other challenges which this typical family business are typically suffering from or facing when it comes to handling succession or governance issues?
Yeah, I mean,
Are there any, what are major pain points for family businesses like yours, other than the wealth management part, where they might need an external help?
yeah, so many businesses where we have seen, I mean, not talking about the corporates, where we have seen that either a father is running a business or a son is running a business, they think the business is limited to what they can actually do. So that limitation is not actually, does not exist, or that better understanding has to be given where the business can be simply expanded in a professional manner within the family and even with professionals.
All right, and for the next generation, are you putting up like a specific program in place to groom them and to get them in the leadership roles? Is there a plan in process there?
Yeah.
For your kids or Mr. Prabhakar Rao's kids, I mean, have you planned anything in terms of like a lot of families want their kids to meet, maybe intern outside and...
Yeah, so as I said, basically the idea of leadership invest is where we are handholding individuals, not just for wealth creation or family office, where it's not just limited to that. So we have a charitable trust. We are building the CSR activity for corporates also, and where we do brand building and business building for different small businesses. We have our own digital marketing arm where today the talk is about technology. So with technology we can help small businesses grow. That is our vision basically, and we are doing eye on that.
Okay, but how about the kids? I mean, the next generation family business members who, I don't know if they've already joined or they're planning to join. So have you, are you planning some, specialized onboarding program for them? Is there a plan in place? I mean, some kind of internship outside, some kind of a work profile before they get a leadership role, or before you decide on who's going to handle what? So is there some
Yes,
plan?
it may not be ourselves directly doing it, but definitely we believe that there has to be a lot of education and learning to different individuals at various levels, right from the students in the school to the students in the different college curriculums, be it engineering or what, even let it be engineering or let it be some other branch, where those students have to understand about wealth. Wealth is very important. So, in fact, I would suggest why not AIWMI to think in those terms where you can actually bring more knowledge to the students at those levels, have certain courses taken up for corporates. So this is the idea. I mean, the idea is just coming out when you're asking me.
Right.
So, we should be doing something on that scope.
No, great. And now you've been based in Dubai, I believe. So how's the family office environment there? Do you have any plans of taking legacy there as well for the Indian family? I believe a lot of Indian families and other Indian families are based over there.
Yeah, exactly. So with so many Indian families who are either running small business in Dubai or who are either employees, you know, back home, some number of real estate properties or some number of financial investments, they don't have the time or they are not able to take care. That is where we believe that those Indian families who have got some wealth here or vice versa also, we believe we can be a very, very strong advisory arm to take care of these things for them. We can be the exhibition part also. That's the whole idea.
Sure. So on that note, let me just open this for a few questions. From the audience and to the audience. Is there anyone who's running, who's a part of a single family office here in the audience today? Either working for a single family office or running his own single family office. So have you set up something? On this lines?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, because I wanted to put up a few questions, but nevertheless, let me open it up for audience questions because I think we have like 5 odd minutes before we move on to the next session. So any questions for?
I mean, the gentleman here, sure, so many of guys must be doing business or might be employees. I'm sure all of them are aware. So.
Yeah, but this itself is a pretty new topic, and I am sometimes amazed at how people so people confuse family office sometimes with family wealth or family office, and I've also had people confusing family office with the home office. So there's a lot of problem with awareness levels and
exactly. So that is why I said awareness and education is required at various levels, which we should help people understand about business or about success or about.
So in my experience, dealing with people telling me, yes, we have a family office, our net worth is around 10 crores, and I'm like, so the definition of family office doesn't fit in there, and it becomes very difficult to tell them that no, you're not a family office, you are probably a high net worth individual, you don't need a family office. Just don't go for it because it looks like a very fancy term. And again, it becomes even more challenging in cases like yours where setting up something for yourself, then extending it to a few families is one part, but putting it into a completely professional mold and as a service and making it, creating it something like a legacy. So I believe I can only think of another case like that, and that's Patni's family office. They, after their own experience, they set up something called Waterfield, or it's actually they've not set it up, but they've been up now. They're part of it. So I believe that's a very interesting trend to grow because who better than families themselves to guide and handhold other families.
Sure.
So
the family office concept itself is actually not so old. Of course, it's quite well established now in Europe and other countries. In India, it's also evolving. I would say it's very important to have a MFO or a SFO, and people need very good advisory, and in this, especially, the advisory is not one time. I believe certain wealth management companies, just for the execution of their own products or for a particular idea, the advisory is done at one point of time. But in today's dynamic world, where we are talking about, I will call the word as VUCA world, volatility, uncertainty, or ambiguity and all. So in fact, we have a clear solution where we need to have a clear vision, where we need to have uncertainty controlled, where we need to have clarity, where we need to be very, very agile. It's a flexible world.
Yeah.
So the advisory from our side or the execution part has to be taken care throughout. This is what we believe, and only then it helps the real solution to one's creation or multiplication of it.
Certainly. So, Prasad sir, I have a question for you. I couldn't ask you when you were having your session. So, I was mentioning about this, like 2 families I spoke to, and they were very clear we don't need a family office. So, one was Ronnie Wala. He was like, very clearly I need an investment office. So, I have a social CSR arm, and I have an investment arm, and that's it. Because it's a very small linear family structure. And the other was Godrej family, who said, we just have a family constitution in place. Most of our family's wealth is into the companies. So do you think this concept is basically overrated, and families can actually do without it, with just like a constitution in place or some basic structures in place?
Yeah, I think if it's a very evolved family with enough, at least 2-generation wealth, you need that critical mass both of wealth, family interest, investment interest, and diversified business to warrant a single family office is my, otherwise it's a good idea to be part of a multi-family office. The family office can play a very, very important role, not just in treasury and investments. They can play an important role in family development, next generation development. You can call it an HR section if you like.
Correct.
There is a third element that they can participate in is if they have a family constitution or family agreement, they can be trustees or administrators of that constitution. And last of all, which is very often used, is they can be concierge, facility management people, because families do need help, particularly families in multiple geographies getting together for a event or meeting, family bonding, the whole host of things that a full, matured, even single family office can offer, and a multi-family office can offer. It's a very, very important vehicle which is underutilized or not even thought through completely.
Great.
Exactly. So, in fact, as he said, we are planning to be a concierge of all the services for the individual. That is our vision.
I'm sure Rishabh, Rishabh, yeah. So my last question to you, and here not as a panelist, but as someone who works very closely with private client families. What's your take on this concept of family office?
I think it's more of a fashionable thing now. Families are very curious about what it is. They want to explore the contours of it. They have complexity of moving out the wealth into a structure like that. So I think the interest has picked up in it, but not really following through and actually consummating and setting something up. So usually what the families are doing it through their company group CFO, they're doing some kind of personal investments on the side, and they're calling it a family office, but a full robust AIF kind of structure, LLP, NBFC kind of route, very, very few families are going ahead with that. And in a way, a lot of these families are using the kind of personal money to do startup funding, angel VC kind of funding. So it is more of that approach as opposed to a complete diversification strategy across sectors, geographies, international, domestic, etc. So I would say it's very early stage in the Indian setup.
Great, super. So great. On that note, I think I have no option but to end the session. But if there's few questions from the audience, I'm happy to take. We need a mic here.